Welcome to the AI Corner. I'm your host, Mike Bailey, here to spotlight the people shaping New Zealand's AI future. In today's episode, we're speaking with Leo Garcia Curtis. Leo is an AI growth strategist and founder of Maximize AI and Waboom AI, and working with businesses to embed intelligent voice conversations and automation that drive productivity and open new revenue opportunities. Former CEO of e-commerce agency Zyber, Leo is now focused on the future of agentic commerce and how conversational AI will reshape the way we buy and sell moving forward. Welcome to the pod, Leo.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Hell of an intro.
No problem. Well, you've been in tech for a long time. What, I guess, sparked your journey into AI away from just pure play e-com agency?
Yeah, I think I've always been an early adopter. I don't know how much time we've got, but I left university and started a web agency without knowing how to code because I saw how big Google's going to be at that time. And, YouTube didn't really exist. And I remember I was reading a book and it said, if you need to find clients, you got to go out there and start door knocking. And that's what I did. I started door knocking around Mount Eden and Penrose and Auckland. And I remember some people just saying to me like, no, I don't need a website. I'm on the yellow pages. I thought, man, that's so weird. Do they not understand what Google can do and what a website can do? And that's kind of like what was happening with AI. It was just coming in and like all these clients that we were helping in the e-commerce space, some of these tools had AI built in, and we're talking like 2022. And I was like, this is interesting. Like, what does it do? And how does it know that clients want this product and all of this stuff? And then I just realized like I'm using these tools and starting to use ChatGPT, and I'm showing people like, look at this thing. And people are looking at me like, oh, you're a bit weird. Like, what is this thing? And I know that when I'm using a tool over and over again, we've got something here. And I just remember that was the same thing with Google and websites. I was like, I'm going all in on AI. And so that's kind of my journey. I've always been a bit of an early adopter.
Wicked. It's interesting you say that the clients were coming to you and asking about AI because typically with new technologies, it's almost a vendor-led thing. Like the Microsofts and Googles of the world are kind of pulling us into, this utopia that we haven't quite bought into yet. But interesting to hear that commerce clients in New Zealand years ago were sort of interested in the space.
Yeah, like we were using these tools that we would have to introduce it to the client, but these tools would come to us as an agency and go, hey, can you put this in front of your clients? This is what it can do. And like the ones that had this like persona matching with products, as soon as you went in and clicked a few things, that would know like, oh, we know you're now male and you're looking at these shoe sizes, so we're going to change the way the homepage is doing everything. I was like, hey, this is cool. And that's where my curiosity really peaked.
So yeah, really AI baked into the solution, pre-generative AI almost by that point.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose when you start using these tools, you can't stop. And if you're an evangelist for technology, you just you want to spread the good word, right?
That's right. And I think e-commerce merchants are a little bit ahead of everybody else because now coming off e-commerce and moving into just working with B2B, it's scary what I'm seeing. I'm seeing companies doing really good revenue, but they work off an Excel sheet. And I'm just like, how? How did you get here? And they're like, this is how we've done it for the last 30 years.
Why change what ain't broke?
Exactly. And then I'm like, if we put in a proper CRM and then we bring in this and then, AI over the top, they're just like, their eyes are like, because they've never seen it.
Wow. So you get a few aha moments, I'm hearing.
Yeah, I love those are my favorite moments is when the penny just drops for the client and they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to change our entire business.
So moving from Zyber into what you're doing now, Maximize AI and Waboom, how did that journey go? Like, why did you leave Zyber and how did you make the leap and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, there's lots of reasons. I've been there for 13 years. It was an amazing journey. Did a lot with Zyber. We grew it, we pivoted, we grew it even more. But I realized that I was either going to start becoming part of the furniture or I needed to do something else. And as I mentioned, seeing the rise of AI, I just knew this was something really interesting. And I think being an early adopter, going to the board and saying we should maybe pivot again or like really bring AI into it, I think the board wasn't really ready. And so I was like, okay, I think this is my time to say goodbye. And, I've had a good time here. So I think that was one of the reasons. And then, just I wanted to learn for myself and really get into these tools. And then I could see the opportunities where something else happened in the agency where I actually wanted the developers to use ChatGPT. This is again in the early days for coding. And I think maybe the way I phrased it in a meeting, I said, look at this thing, it can code, look at this. And everybody in the room was just like, no way, I'm not touching this. And I realized like if I'm getting pushback in my company, who we're supposed to be forward thinking, I was like, I
Mm.
have no idea what it's going to be like for the rest of New Zealand and Australia. So that kind of led me to, hey, I want to get out there and start educating people that, this thing can help and can absolutely skyrocket productivity. And you know it, you're in this space too.
Yeah, as you say, there's a few aha moments. I'd say the conversation has changed so much even since I returned to New Zealand sort of back end of last year. Even since Christmas, the way people are looking and thinking about this technology is just transformative. It's almost like someone's just turned on the fire hose, which is great. And I suppose I've never seen as many people leave their career just to basically experiment and learn and see what happens, even if they don't have business ambition, like to start a company, just the willingness to drop everything, exit their career, and just spend 40, 50, 60 hours, probably more like 100, inside these tools, really trying to understand. And also the number of people, like one of my cousin, for example, a mate I used to go to university with, they're business people through and through, but they've now become like coders. They've just really dug in, taken every course under the sun, and now they're building platforms end to end. And I know a lot of people will sit there and go, vibe coding doesn't get you a platform, but I would say that some of the stuff they've built is near on platform quality and they've had that security tested. So like there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that most people aren't aware of. And I think once you get into the rabbit hole of this space, until you pull your head up above the clouds, you kind of don't realize how little a lot of people know about the space. You get so immersed so quickly.
Very true. And look, I'll be honest with you, Mike, it wasn't an easy conversation to say to my wife, hey, I think I want to go into AI. I know I got this cushy job over here. And then she's like, well, what do you know about AI? I was like, I know a little bit. And, and I'm thankful that, she was okay with it. And, that starting a whole new business comes with its stresses and its challenges, but it's all part of the fun. But I just knew that I had to be in the space, and to be in the space, I had to let everything else go and be in here. And, I gave myself targets and goals, and look, we're doing it. And then somehow I realized I should start another business. So now I've got two AI businesses, maybe not the smartest option, but decision, but it's fun. I think I haven't explained it to the audience. Maximize AI is me sort of consulting and educating people around New Zealand, doing workshops, doing, just hands-on training on how to do prompt engineering. And
Mhm.
Waboom kind of raised from dealing with so many companies going, hey, we're really interested in this really ad hoc AI or some AI automation or voice agents. And that sort of is the rise of Waboom. So I'm sort of in between the both, juggling both, and they sometimes always like merge together. So, but like you said, you got to just get your head down. I'm not a coder and I've been vibe coding. I'm not going to sell my stuff for products, but I had to test it out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this changes so many things, especially for agencies out there. It changes the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think the biggest opportunity is in, taking yourself out of the equation for a second there, but you've talked about consulting and training, and then you've talked about literally building. Like, what do
Mhm.
you think the biggest opportunity is at the moment? And is it pretty clear cut as to what types of organizations are better suited to those two types of buckets?
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand because a lot of them first want to understand and then do training for the entire team, or something I do is an executive AI deep dive. So that's sitting with the head of department and we look at those bottlenecks in the company, and we have ways of understanding what is more important than something else. Because what happens in these meetings, everyone comes in with a shopping list and
Mm.
they're like, I want AI to do A, B, C, D. And like, some of it's not even AI. It's like, hey, look, that's just automation, or yeah. So it's about understanding, okay, what is really going to impact your business? Which ones should we prioritize? And then that's kind of the consulting phase stops. And then it's like, well, over here, I've actually got an agency. If you do want to use myself and my team, we can actually implement some of these things that you've said. Some other things I go, look, that's already been built. Let's grab that. Or I know someone that does this better. So let's go over here. So opportunity wise, and for anybody listening, like this AI space, like I had choice paralysis for so long. I did not know which direction anyone should go in or which direction I should go in, but it's moving so fast, like you said. It's a
Well,
fascinating space.
and so with that choice paralysis, how did you land on those two? They're almost
Yeah.
not obvious spaces, but they're very natural entry points. As you say, there's a bit of a linear progression for businesses. Is that why you jumped in?
Yeah, I think for me, maximize was first. And for me, I said, well, what am I really good at? And I understand the complexity of a business and I understand looking at it and optimizing it because I did it for so long in the e-commerce space. You know, we're constantly optimizing the CRO, we're optimizing the SEO, whatever it is, we're trying to find a way to push that sales volume up and reduce the OPEX. So
Mm.
I think I said, okay, I'm going to do that. I'll start consulting. And yeah, through that, just everybody was like, okay, we've done that part. We love it. And now we're ready to get serious with implementing more AI agents. And that's my expertise wasn't there. So I built a team around me that I could do that and or put that, delegate that to them.
Awesome. And you're still in the commerce space, or let's call it the agentic commerce space nowadays?
The agentic commerce space, I am in a way, especially with a lot of AI automation and voice AI agents. So definitely doing that. Have you spoken to an AI agent?
Like verbally?
Yeah, like on the phone or like on a
Oh,
website.
right. I mean, I've had conversations with GPT and 11 Labs. I don't actually know if I've had a conversation with a purpose-built agent, though, I suppose. I mean,
Right.
it maybe is a custom GPT is more of an assistant, right? It's not necessarily an agent. So yeah, I'd say no.
Okay, no, that's interesting. I also use the ChatGPT one, turn the camera on, point it to a whiteboard, and I'll talk about a sales funnel and see if, we can have some ideas bouncing on and off. The
Mm.
one thing I don't like is it never really tries to argue with you, right? It's always like your wingman or wingwoman. It's always agreeing with your idea. I'm like, no, no, tell me if my idea is bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Be the contrarian. I want Elon in the room.
Exactly, exactly. I've heard the Gemini one does disagree a little bit, so I might have to start using that one. But that conversation back and forth, I see it being a massive opportunities for brands to have some sort of persona being able to speak to their prospects about their products. It's just another angle, it's another omni-channel touch point. And I see massive opportunities there. So that's why I'm quite excited about voice agents in the agentic commerce space as well.
Yeah, I think that the voice of the customer through voice is super, super powerful. And I reckon that's where the market research industry is really at risk in some way, shape, or form. Like previously, you used to have to go and set up a very expensive like survey or focus group, and it would take weeks and months of preparation. And nowadays, provided you have a decent amount of data or some sample data, you can start to build out your personas pretty quickly and battle test your campaigns, your product ideas, your as simple as email messaging with synthetic personas in some way, shape, or form. And synthetic data is getting better and better as well. You layer that in over top with company data and IP, and it's a pretty powerful combination.
Powerful, so powerful. And then with AI, with RAG, vector database, if for those that don't know, practically the AI chops up, let's say, all your PDFs into bits. And when you search something with the intent or you ask it, the AI understands that intent and goes looking for those specific areas and brings back what it believes is like the best answer for you. If you use ChatGPT, the paid subscription, and use folders, it's kind of that. You drop stuff in those folders and you can ask it. But if you put too many things in those folders, it doesn't actually start working. But so with RAG, now you got this knowledge base that these agents, if it's text or voice, can just go and grab some details and come back with point of a second, and has all this knowledge about your product or about the customer. So you're right, it's really interesting. And so for those listening, agentic commerce, because I get asked this, like, what does that mean? And I don't know if you were thinking that, but like agentic commerce is really, it's not people looking at your website anymore. It's these AI agents. They're going in there, they're understanding everything about your website, and then either they can actually do the shopping as well and check out themselves, which that's probably the future of how we're going to interact now. We just say to our agent on our phone, like, go find me this and find me the best price, and I need it by tomorrow,
Mm.
and find me whichever one can do that. But yeah, these things will find and understand everything about your website, and then I can talk to it, and I can talk to it like I would on a large language model like a ChatGPT. And now I can say, I don't know if you saw this, Shopify and Copilot.
Mm.
Have you seen that? So like, I can go, hey, find me sneakers that is a size 10 male. It has to be Adidas. Maybe I like the blue ones. And if you can find it under $200, and can you deliver it on Tuesday? It's going to go and look and give you, here's four that I found in Auckland. Which one do you want? And go, okay, I'll
Yeah.
click that one and check out. But crazy is I can go, oh, I actually need those shoes. And then, oh, actually, those pants go with it. And the pants actually are coming from another store. So you can check out once through, this is in Copilot, check out once, but you're actually shopping from 4 or 5 different stores.
Mm. It's similar to you would have seen Shopify's announcement about the global checkout as well. The same kind of concept. You're shopping across any Shopify store, but basically without even knowing you're shopping across that store and all into one cart. And yeah, I think where most brands probably aren't really considering, and it's very hard to conceive of at the moment, is the biggest customer for websites or brands moving forward will be an agent. It won't be a human. So how do you design your website, or what is the value of a website moving forward if the checkout process or the discovery process on website, is that all basically going away in some way, shape, or form? And
Yeah.
how does your brand show up within search and that discovery process within GPT, et cetera?
What's that measurable thing that your product, out of maybe it only displays five, is
Mm,
going to show up versus all the others? And we don't really know yet, but I know it's going to be about your store history. I
yep.
know it's going to be about your reviews online, but not just on Google, Amazon, eBay, Trade Me, wherever you've been and wherever there's feedback, it's going to look at that. And then I start thinking about things because, AI is smart. I start thinking about things going, okay, there's going to be a store that has 1,000 five-star reviews, but those five-star reviews maybe don't have any context on them. It just says 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. And then you got another shop that's got 500 reviews at a 4.2 level, average review. But in there, there's people going on about amazing customer service or, what they did for us was great. And I think all those things are going to take in as a measure of what the AI goes, I'm going to put this in front of Mike
Mm,
because I know Mike loves it when people talk about doing something for the planet Earth. And this is exactly comments I see on this product versus somebody that probably is a bigger brand but has no reviews, or so there's things like that I'm going, oh man, this is going to be a game changer. So e-commerce merchants, for me, like, SEO has always been important, and SEO is kind of part of this whole SGEAEO. Some people call it LLMO, practically optimizing your website for the AI. It's pretty much what I'm trying to say. You gotta really invest in this and start thinking about this, because if I can shop in that way where I just quickly say something to my AI and it goes and does it and then comes back and says I found a few different variations and I just have that conversation.
mm.
Yeah, that's probably how I'm going to shop. In the meantime, I can also see people going to the website, and you can have an agent rather than just those chat bots where you have to pick an option and
Oh,
then it
yeah.
never really helps you and you have to go to customer service, but it just takes your email. You're going to have the AI agents that have this conversation between you back and forth if it's in text, or again vocally you talk to it, and it just, for me, what I think is going to happen is just closes that sales cycle where I go from discovery, decision, check between this competitor and this competitor. Hopefully that experience will be so much smoother that it goes, hey, what are you looking for? I'm looking for XYZ. Oh, yeah, we got these. Then I have some like, I'm not sure, but it knows how to work through that and then gets me to the checkout.
I
I think
think
that's going to be a great experience as well.
I think you're exactly right. I think it basically collapses the funnel in some way. Like your intent equals the same time that you make a transaction. Whereas previously there was, I showed intent and then I get showed Facebook ads all over the place. And somehow I get a ping on my phone when I walk past the store, and then I
Yeah.
try it on and I go home and I buy it again and it shows up in my inbox because I didn't check out. Like that funnel is just closing because the personalization aspect of what AI can deliver. And as you say, it knows what I want. It knows the brands I like. I don't even need to
Mhm.
think about it. It even knows because it's connected to my Strava account that I've run too many kilometers in these shoes. It's forecasting, or it's proactively recommending that product. And I think that's where I'm really excited about commerce in particular. And it's the most layman's example, but I love it, is when your holiday is coming up in 2 weeks and you're going to Europe or whatever it might be. It goes, I know that you don't actually have any board shorts anymore, or you don't have enough singlets because you're going to Spain, and somehow IoT, and this is very futuristic, IoT is in your bedroom and it knows, how many pairs of clothing you have and what you lack in your wardrobe. And next thing you know, it just turns up on your door. And you
Yeah.
haven't, or you may, there'd be a human in the loop to say, hey, I can help you pack in advance and all the rest of it. But it's that, I love how AI just takes away, nothing will fall through the cracks in the best of ways. That safety net is only kind of getting better and better, where you just will stop forgetting stuff. You'll be able to pattern match much better because if you're into diarizing,
Yes.
journaling, right? You write in a journal one day, you write in the journal the next day, and you try and do a review every few weeks or a few months, but you don't do a good job of picking up where the kind of the matches are. But
Yeah.
that's going to resurface and go, oh, you felt exactly the same last year when you were going to the pub too often, or you were waking up at 5 a.m. rather than 6, or going to bed too late. That concept of hopefully it's just going to round out our life and it begins to know so much about us in a scary way. But at the same time, I like to think that the benefits will outweigh the risks in so much.
Yes.
But maybe I'm
I
not.
too. I totally agree. I agree. I think we're all going to have an AI assistant, and if that's the iPhone comes out with that, and that's what it is, the Apple AI, and it just knows, like it knows you left work now half an hour later, so it goes, "Do you want me to order dinner? Because by the time you get home, da da da," and you're like, "Yeah, go for it." I honestly see that. So when people say, "What does the future look like?" It's starting to look like what you're just saying. Like it just knows.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And you mentioned the iPhone. Like, I was listening to a really good podcast before, and they were talking about, I mean, we all know ChatGPT, OpenAI have distribution, right? They've got 800 million weekly active users at this point in time.
Yes.
And then Google have been playing a waiting game. Their models have been getting better and better, and 2025 has kind of been their year for releases of innovation when it comes to immersive video and all the rest of it. And their Flash models are really good now, and 2.5 is great. And at the same time, GPT-5's just launched. It's good. It's incrementally better if you're a power user. If you're not a power user and you're a beginner, it's substantially better. But I think that Google or Gemini are on the doorstep of releasing something else that's probably as good. They've gone slow to go fast. And I think that's another consideration for this race where we think about GPT are winning, Gemini or Google are catching up pretty quick. But you've also got Apple, and I know that they've been a sleeping giant. They've got a lot of crap in the press about how
Hmm.
innovative they've been, but they have massive distribution. Like they are a market leader when it comes to mobile phones. Of course, Android is there as well, but you just can't bet against someone like Apple and iPhone, and
Yeah.
based on what they've got and how they can build that into people's lives.
I've forgotten that person's name, but that's why Sam Nielsen was partnering up with that other person that had designed the Apple iPhone a couple of years ago. Have you seen that synergy come through together? So
No,
OpenAI, they don't say what they're going to do together, but this gentleman was very much
oh, Johnny Ive.
involved.
Is that
That's it.
Johnny Ive? Yeah.
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 So I'm like, what's happening there? Because like the phones, they're with us all day, every day. So I think Apple's will get a huge advantage if their AI is great and we're not using ChatGPT or, we're just using theirs. But yeah,
Yes.
what a space. Like how much things have changed in 6 months. I don't know. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And so you said, okay, so you were talking about how you work in voice with a lot of clients at the moment, and you
Yes.
mentioned specifically strategizing with AI. So is a lot of the voice workflows and automations and agentic commerce kind of use cases you're building, is that purely helping brands be better internally, or are you doing a lot of external facing use cases? Like, where does that space go for you?
It goes in lots of different ways. We've got clients that want to talk to AI while internally to doing specific jobs that they're doing or reference things that they have. And again, like that vector database that I was mentioning before. But if I bring it back to like some use cases, we've got one client that has about five or so staff members, and they get orders through the phone, through email, and through WhatsApp messages. And they're like, can we somehow have AI actually take care of all those channels and push it through to either through WooCommerce or like our MYOB? And the answer is yes. And so it's about AI understanding and educating how orders are taken, especially like over the phone and stuff like that. It can handle it, understands the intent, and knows what it's meant to do, and then puts that through. And for them, it's huge because now these staff members are all being put into areas where it really impacts the business, really helps the business move forward, than having to do this really repetitive task. What's really cool about that is the WhatsApp messages. I didn't really think people did this, but that people actually write. This is B2B ordering. They write on a notepad what the order they want, right? And then we're talking big volumes of products. And then they take a photo and then they send that through to WhatsApp. So the person would have to look at the photo and then type every line into MYOB. Well, now the AI sees what's on that photo, can read that, takes that information, and line by line will shoot it into MYOB.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And like a year or 2 years ago, I'd go, oh, I don't know if that exists. And now I'm like, yep, we can do it. What else you got? Like, how else do you get orders? Yeah. Oh, you get emails? Emails, the AI checks the intent of that email. If it is an order, it proceeds through the remaining automation to put the order through. If the email is completely different, somebody who just wants to have a chat about the weather, it won't touch that email. Yeah, so it's that's exciting. But coming back to voice on the phones, we can do inbound and outbound calls. So for e-commerce brands, not only can we take orders if it's from consumers or business to business, but it's also outbound like abandoned cart recovery, like we do with emails. But maybe we this is a higher ticket price. You know, you've got your average order is usually $110, but this one's like $400. So through Klaviyo or through Shopify, we can trigger that the agent then calls it out and has all the information about you, about the product, and knows the knowledge as well, and can have this really fluid conversation with you, Mike, to say, "Hey, I noticed you checked out with that Louis Vuitton bag. I'm saying this because we've done it as a demo to show others of this." And it knows everything about Louis Vuitton, and it's a $14,000 bag. So of course the agent wants to try and get you to say yes, I will proceed. And it could be anything. It could be, look, the shipping rates were too high, or I didn't know if you had it in this color and all that. And this is stuff that the agent can get by being integrated with your ERP system or inventory system. Go, yep, we've got it in stock. We've got one in Auckland. I can ship it out to you today, and help them through with the checkout. So
So,
really cool space to be in.
so many questions. I think first, how do you navigate, call it like the traditional, how do I say this? Like traditional voice systems, right? The way that they typically work are a bit disconnected. There's the like ASR, like automatic speech recognition, which
Yeah.
converts voice to text. Then you've got NLP, natural language processing, which interrupts that text and interprets it. Then you've got text to speech, which turns it back into voice. So you're kind of going voice to text to voice. And that creates that 0.3 second kind of delay sometimes, right? And that
Yes.
can cause mispronunciations, loss of trust, and all the rest of awkward silences. Is it done in such a way that the buyer is aware, they know they're talking to an AI, right? In some way. How does that work? Like, how do we kind of deliver that experience in such a way that the buyer isn't turned off because it's clearly AI?
Yeah. So Privacy Act 2020 in New Zealand is that you should clearly state who you are and what the reason for the phone call is. So what we say to all of our clients, and I think 99% have said yes, is right at the start, we say, "Hey, it's Leo. I'm an AI agent from XYZ."
Okay.
So right from the start, people know. Now, here's the funny part. Some people miss that and they think they're talking to a human for a lot of the time. And some
Wow.
click and go, "Oh, hold on, am I talking to an AI agent?" And then they get really fascinated. They're talking to an AI agent and the conversation goes, in a different direction. Luckily, the agents have like a safety guardrails to bring the conversation back to whatever their primary goal is.
Cool.
So they'll go with what you just asked, like, "Oh, you've asked me about the movies. Yes, it's a great movie, but are you still interested in that handbag?" So they'll find a way to tie it in. They're quite clever, but there is latency. And these models are getting so much better. And someone said to me the other day, and I was thinking, man, that's so right, is today is the worst this AI agent will ever be because
Mm.
they just keep getting better every day. And so the latency has come down. There's things that we do to bring that latency right down as well. And there's specific models that work better than others. And if it's a very complicated thing, we use bigger models. And if it's a slightly easier thing, you use the smaller models. And the smaller models come at a lower price point.
Got it. Got it. And how far are we away from voice to voice models in terms of them being like crisp and really working and humming?
I think I honestly, maybe I'm being biased because I run a voice AI agency, but I think we're there. There's even with the one that we've got at the moment, it's got a Kiwi accent. There's multiple now from 11 labs that have Kiwi accents that we can tap into,
Right.
and honestly, it feels really good. They can whisper, they can shout now, like they can that tone, that range can change. It's getting there. Like we're getting close. We're getting really close. If you want the perfect one.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, will it ever be perfect? I'm sure it'll fool a human, and we'll get to that point at some point soon. But like when it's, fully emotionally intelligent and understands tone and sarcasm and fatigue and responds accordingly, or it's sort of it picks up on like pauses and sighs and laughter as meaningful like conversational cues. Like I think that's when it gets really interesting. It's not just responding to the text in some way,
Yes.
but it's
Yeah.
really understanding like pace and the word choice of someone and maybe in mannerisms on your face, all that sort of stuff. And it's
That
just that's the next frontier, right?
It does. Look, there's things already in there. Like if you are talking to the AI agent and your English is not very good, it sort of scores you and it understands like, oh, his English might not be that great and can actually ask if you want to speak in a different language. And if that language is supported, it will switch. But also it knows that, oh, that it scores between 0 to 1. So let's say it scores like below 5. it will start to speak slightly different, maybe a little bit slower and use simpler words. So things like that are already in place, which makes a huge difference depending on what type of brand or company you are that's doing outbound calls or receiving inbound calls. So yeah, it's coming. It's there.
Returning to New Zealand, I had this sense that like voice was getting really big in North America in particular, probably about a year to 18 months ago. Like it was exploding in terms of what was happening. And maybe this was my Kiwi brain settling in, is that we are skeptical people by nature. And so
Hmm.
we're talking to a robot. I had this view that New Zealand, I mean, we're behind in technology in general, but I felt as though with voice in particular, we would be even further resistant to that as a technology. But it sounds as though you haven't seen that play out in practice yet.
Yes and no. If you know the stats from Deloitte and all of that, we're like the third last accepting AI into our business here in APAC. Luckily, Australia is second to last, so we're beating them at something. Sorry to all the Australian listeners. But I too had been to North America in October and, was part of my trying to find myself with that choice paralysis that we're talking about before.
Mm.
And over there, they're so open-minded. They're like, what do you got? What does it do? Okay. What are the benefits for me and the return on investment? Let's go. In New Zealand, when I came back, and this is now earlier in the year, and this is starting to change, the conversation was more like, is my competitor doing it?
Uh,
No. Yeah, maybe we won't. But now I can really see like all the work that you've done with podcasts like this and your newsletters. More and more businesses are now saying, hey, to us, oh, hey, this is actually quite interesting. Because even just with voice agents, it's another experience that their customers can have. These voice agents can have like an amazing personality. They can be really, really witty. Like you can unhinge them and they can go far. I know you probably tested Grok one. I'm not going to go that far with what that one could do. But they can be really witty on the phone if that's part of your brand. If that's your demographic, you can go all the way with it. And so we're talking to one brand that is wanting you to have the conversation with the agent to convince the agent that you should get this like limited edition pair of shoes, right? And then the agent will decide if you're cool enough or hip or whatever they're going with, will give you some sort of coupon code for you then to use to the checkout to get access to that thing. And that's an experience
that's awesome.
because you're having this back and forth conversation. The agent's kind of like cocky, like, oh, yeah, okay, but what else have you done?
Yeah,
Or why should you wear our shoes? So those are the experiences I think would be memorable. And I'd share it to you. Like I'd forward you the link. Hey, Mike, you want to buy this? You got to see if you can get the agent to agree. And so you'd be like, okay, let's give it a go.
it's like the getting into Berghain in Berlin, but AI version of trying to fool the AI or something. But yeah,
Pretty much.
as you say, I never thought of that as a play, but yeah, there's a lot of innovation that can happen in that space. And thinking about the models, you mentioned Grok. You can imagine like Hell's Pizza and Grok. There's a pretty good combination there of the way the brands are, and you're not to say that Hell's Pizza doesn't have the same sort of values, but just sort of fits the way that they speak and potentially some opportunity. But there's so much to toy with in that space. And you mentioned the high-end use case of a Louis Vuitton type. What are other brands looking to do that's kind of really eye-opening for you? Or are people just trying to kind of get through the basic drudgery work and sort of check off and improve their productivity for now?
Yeah, like, are you talking about voice agents or are you talking about just in
Which in
general?
general, I guess, or other.
Yeah, in general, I think the larger corporate clients are really trying a lot of the COOs, they want to stay in control. So they won't do anything until they understand.
Right.
And then if they do understand, they want MVP and they want a beta and they want a very small sample size and they want to tick it off like, okay, we've got budget, we just did it, it was good, we can see the ROI and sort of move forward. So it's a little bit slower and the excitement of like what you said is something really exciting and oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's probably there, but I think it's the smaller companies, the medium-sized companies, the backbone of New Zealand. They're the ones that, especially if they're more forward-thinking, they're like, "What can we do?" They're open-minded, and they want to have like so many options, and then go, and then we have to figure out like this would be the best one for you. For specific examples, I think I've given some already tonight. I think everybody can get a bit of a taste that you can be quite playful with AI and do a lot. You did mention House Pizza, which is really interesting because I actually put a voice AI agent in front of them, in front of the board. I haven't met them. I know one person there, and I said, you have to play this in the board. And it's the devil taking the order. And
Uh,
the devil's giving you grief, like, oh yeah, okay, what do you, and they loved it. So I hope that more brands want to do stuff like that. And because like you said, it'll be a really interesting experience.
so you make a really interesting point before about corporates and the pace at which they move, and that's corporate nature, right? I think
Mm,
it's never been a better time to be a challenger brand in this space. Like the way that you can keep up with culture and innovate and produce great use cases, like you've just mentioned. Like there's tons of those that people could be experimenting with, and you put something out on social nowadays, and people will run it through a massive checklist and audit and sign off approval process, and hardly anyone will see it anyway. Like the ability to move quickly and just try stuff it's never been a better time to be a marketer anyway.
it's never been a better time to just try anything. I walked into a meeting the other day, and the CEO, who's probably close to 60, was telling me he did vibe coding, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, I got it to do this, and now I've got it here on this website, and I'm hosting it, and I played with the tool, and it worked, and it was perfect. So I think now for anybody listening and wants to get into AI, I feel like anyone listening to this podcast is already using AI, but there's just so many tools like make.com and NAN. Are they ones that you use at all, Mike?
Big fan of N8N, and Relay has probably become my other favorite at the moment. They're
I,
so good.
I saw a video of you using it on LinkedIn. So now I know how you do your newsletters and LinkedIn posts.
I wish it was that simple.
But those tools are so cool. And like, I think people just, if they haven't, they just need to get into it. And once you understand it, they just become easier and easier. And you just get faster and faster at doing this. And I've had the same sort of experience with make.com and NAN. So anyone listening to those, they're like Zapier. Some of them are a bit more visual, so it's easier to connect one thing to the other thing. And I think when I first started, I thought it was a little bit overwhelming. And I thought, oh man, I'll never be able to do like a really complex one. And now it's just like riding a bike. You kind of just know this goes here and you plug this in here and da da da. And you can do it in real time sometimes in front of people and they're just like, this is crazy.
Looks like me.
It is like magic. It really is magic.
And as you say, it's one of those things where I found that the easiest way to learn is to just rote learn from someone else on YouTube. Like Nate, is it Nate Henk? I think his name is. He's amazing in terms of just follow what he's building, and then next thing you know, you're like, I just might add another branch over here and get another
Yeah.
node going over here. And then you also, I found I had tool paralysis at the beginning. I wanted to try every tool and get on the best one and rah rah. And then you quickly understand where they all live on the spectrum in terms of complexity and which one's right for you. And you also
Yes.
start to see the commonalities because at the end of the day, all these tools are building on a similar framework, whether it be LangChain or whatever it might be. But
Yes.
you start to see, oh, there's the weights and the loops, and all those are basically applicable across all of those tools. It might just be in a different UI. So, yeah, I think it's, as you say, just getting started on a tool and figuring out where your limits are really, really quickly. Because
Hmm.
especially for N18, that's a great tipping point, I'd say, for people. That's either just too much, so great,
Yes.
step it back to a Lindy or Relay that's a bit easier to use. But if you can persevere with N18, then you can, short of coding, you can pretty much build anything.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And that's why, yeah, that's what excites me about this space is what businesses can do with this and also what employees can do with this and their productivity levels could just shoot off. And
That ground
yeah,
up innovation is amazing. Like we've got a couple of people at work and they spring up with use cases all the time, and you think, wow, like how did you're almost in the wrong discipline with some of the stuff you're building. It's phenomenal. But no, it's super cool. But really appreciate you taking the time, Leo. Are you up for a quick fire round to finish off?
there's a fire round.
A quick
Okay.
fire round. Let's do it.
That's quick. Let's go.
Awesome. All right, ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini?
Claude now because ChatGPT 5 is annoying me. Go.
Oh, okay. I want to dig in there. What happened to GPT-5?
I believe they took away you being able to like because I teach a lot of prompt engineering and it was actually really good to go through the different models and show people why and how you prompt engineer for specific models to do what. I feel they took away that and gave you ChatGPT 5 that can do anything that you wish and understands what your intent is. But I feel they did that because they're saving money by using maybe a lower model and one that you didn't really want to use.
Interesting.
And
Same.
because and you don't know if it's using a lower model, right?
Because they claim that they're routing to the best model, don't they?
They
It's
claim they routed the best model, but we could be now getting answers from a 4.0 mini where I was really using the 4.0 or 4.5 if it was four ideas or whatever. So I don't know. I want that transparency back. And some of the answers I've been getting just in the last couple of days is just, I'm like, wow, you just hallucinated. And that's dangerous.
it's,
And so luckily, because I know I didn't just go, oh, that's perfect. Take that away. And, I knew that was wrong. And I said, reflect, double check itself. And then it came back going, oh, yeah, so sorry. I don't know why I wrote that, you know?
It's interesting you say that because yeah, they've copped a lot of flack because of it, and I think they'll see a bit of churn. I think you'll see people who were previously unsure about AI because of the responses. They'll see a slight improvement in the ability, the speed, and all the rest of it. Funny enough,
Mm,
I had a light bulb moment today. I was like, I hadn't actually thought about the old models for about a few
mm,
days now. I'd sort of just acclimatized to it, but I have noticed that GPT-5 kind of just craps itself a bit more regularly. Like even with quite a basic task, it says loss of stream. I think the error message.
yep.
And
Yep.
yeah,
It froze on me. It froze on me today as well. And I'm like, what's going on here? Do you know what Claude did to me the other day? And look, I'm not the heaviest user of Claude. I was a heavy user of ChatGPT. So if anyone has seen this before, just tell me. But Claude went through a process like it was deciding on something for me. And it stopped halfway through its prompt and said, hold on a second. Maybe I need to ask you something else, X, Y, and Z,
oh
before
well.
I proceed to continue. I thought, oh, chain of thought. You actually went through something, started giving me the answer, but then you stopped and realized that this might be going down the wrong track. And I've never seen that before. And so when
Mm,
I gave it the other things that it wanted, it went off and did a much better report or whatever it was. But I thought that was quite interesting.
awesome.
So
Well,
Claude right now.
this is a terrible quickfire round, and that was all
It
my
was,
Daniel
you
came.
shouldn't, don't say quick fire with me. I've always got stories.
Most overhyped AI trend right now.
Second brain, if you know what that is.
Yeah, we're building one. Personally,
Okay.
at work, but anyway, that's for another time. One New Zealand company quietly doing great AI work.
Those that don't know, they're doing it with AI.
Oh, okay. So the invisible AI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome.
The people that, oh no, it's quick round. Sorry, I won't tell the story.
And what's your number one recommendation for people to get started with AI? And I don't want to hear the just start using it, ask it a question. Like, what's your like golden ticket that you give to people?
Oh man, I teach how to prime the AI, and once I teach people that and they do it, they say like it's never the same again. They're like, I'm not trying to, blow smoke up my ass, but it's in ChatGPT's documents. But when you actually prime it and to do that same task you've been doing all the time by just writing a couple of lines, but now you properly prime it, people come back going, "Holy shit!"
Context?
Say that again.
Do you mean with giving it like context?
A role, a context, the way you want the data to be structured. There's, if you want to give it an example, a lot of other little, like headings, and it just understands. When I do that, people come back and say, I'm ready now to do more. Like, what else can it do? Because now I've realized that I can really push the limits of this thing. And I
Wicked.
think that's quite exciting. So just spend time, read the prompt documentation in ChatGPT. And this prompt way that they've done it, you can use that on any large language module. And
Totally.
you get far better results.
I think the secret sauce is just meta prompting, right? How do you find just ask it for a better prompt? So
The other cheat code is context cheating of how to have really good prompts that you don't have to rewrite again and finding ways of context cheating, either using the large language module that you're in or other tools. And then your prompts just become better and better and better.
often
It's
running.
from another podcast.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you, Leo, for joining us today. And thank you to our listeners. Please subscribe to the channel for weekly episodes and to hear more from the people building New Zealand's AI future. Thanks for tuning in to the AI Corner.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you. And thank you for doing what you're doing. Great job. Keep it up. New Zealand and the rest of the world need to hear this. So thank you.
Appreciate it, mate. Speak soon.